I literally rode through the night. Apart from when the usual fell asleep on the oars for the 5th time, then I'd force myself to sleep. Well, not force myself, but force myself to go into the cabin to sleep. So I slept for 2 hours. Anyway, I made great ground because those winds, those southerly winds were pushing me up towards the islands. So that was the first part. I got to where I wanted to get to, and eventually we, through some pretty erratic communication, we found each other. So Joe Joyce was, he's in here as well. Joe was, he was the captain of the rib they had the Atomic and Amelia on, and we were like, they were looking for me, and it was like a needle in a haystack thing. And it's not as if I'm connected, like, although you saw a lot of me, like, in terms of social media and that, I'm not like you just pick up a phone and connect it. I have to grab this beacon, stand out, so I have to come off the oars, which I don't want to do, right? Then I have to stand out on deck with a beacon and find the satellite, then link my phone to it. Then there's all sorts of connection issues that have been happening for about 2 months, and the thing keeps dropping out. And then I think Atomic and Amelia might have been having issues with their connection, because I just saw they get the 1 tick on WhatsApp, we can, and then they might get on. So, like, I'm not sure if there was even connection for them where we were, like, so we couldn't find each other anyway. Eventually we did, so that was first part done, and they got some great photos. Second part then was, Joe was a local fisherman out of Inisheer, and Joe said, you should go through fold sounds between Inishmaan, because my plan was to go between Inisheer and Clare. And he was saying, I don't know, if I was you, like, he's very polite, in fairness, and he was like, he should have said, will you just fucking go through Fold Sound, it's way easier. But he was like, if I was you, are you sure you wouldn't think about it? And I was like, I don't know, Joe, the plan is to... And then when I kind of got perpendicular to Fold Sound, I could see how kind of attractive it looked, and I said, Joe, what do you think, Fold Sound? He's like, yeah, maybe you should try Fold Sound. So that's between Inishmaan and Inisheer. So that was the next part, like just getting through that. And if you were looking at it now, you'd say that's a decent gap. You wouldn't be too stressed about getting through it. But when your back is to it and you're in, I don't know, 12-foot waves, something like that, maybe. At least, yeah, some big waves coming down there. And an ocean rowing boat, like, it's high alert, like there's a lot that can go wrong. So, although it was nerve-wracking, it was also like a lot of, like, I want to say fun. As long as you're getting it right, it's fun, right? So I was nailing some waves coming down that, and it was a good buzz, like, and I was getting it right, and they were guiding me in, and so getting through that, the 2 islands was amazing, and we had like Doolin ferries and Ireland Island ferries came out with like customers on them, and they detoured around us, and then the Air Aaron, the little Cessna, flew over at one point, and they were all blowing their horns, and so that was really, really cool. So, and then, and the bonfires from both islands as well, were lit, and so there was a lot going on, like, and I just got some sandwiches off my mother as well, so I was very happy.
Perfect day all around.
Yeah.
Mary is over here, by the way. She's sitting shyly down here at this table here.
So I had like satisfied that craving I'd had for months, and I was true. And as far as I was concerned, and I had been for as long as this project went, I'm safe in Galway Bay. Turned out to clearly not be the case, but that was the way I felt. There was a wash of relief come over me, and I was true. And they headed back to Inisheer, and everyone went, and I was on my own again. And I was just like, all right, just relax now, and you're in Galway Bay, like, you're in Galway Bay. You've talked about it for so long. You're in Galway Bay. That was a beautiful moment, but so that was huge southerly wind, like 30 knots or so, was just pushing me. So when I looked up, I'd relaxed, but I'd floated from the islands, and that wasn't any stress, but it was just an indication of the strength of the winds. And now I had to turn east again and get into Galway Bay, right? So this was part 3 then, and this is where it like became an hour later or so, became really kind of tense, and
getting dark now. And
getting dark, yeah, light was going, waves were becoming steeper.
the wind is building, right?
Slightly, but it was the same kind of strength coming through the sound, but it was just that I had it at my back, and now I have it on the side of my boat. And an ocean rowing boat has the thing called like a lot of windage, which means it just gets manipulated by the wind quite easily, and that's why I was starting to get pushed towards the Galway coast, because my plan was Blackhead, get inside Blackhead, get shelter for the night, put down the ground anchor, sleep, relax, eat more sandwiches, right? Sleep, you know, and just like, and that was a moment I looked forward to for a long time. Obviously, it never happened because Blackhead became impossible for me with that wind. Like, it's just way too strong, and the wind would be blowing the boat closer and closer to Galway. Obviously, Blackhead's the other direction. So yeah, it got dark. There's no moon at the moment, which makes, you know, it doesn't help. And then you're getting all these big waves, like huge waves on your the side of the boat, on the beam on, they call it, yeah, on the beam. So I have that to worry about, and then now I've got the shore to worry about because I'm getting closer to the shore, and I need to watch the wave. Like, I need to watch the waves constantly to be able to react to them and try, like, if one comes that is steep enough that may capsize me or may like knock me off my seat, I can react to it and I can mitigate that. But I also need to watch the shore now as well, so like my head's on a swivel the whole time, and I'm just getting more tense, but felt in control of the situation, like, apart from getting close to Galway. But then when I got really close to Galway, when I realised I was really close to Galway, because perception is a bit of an issue when it's so dark, you know. You don't really judge very well. Well, I didn't anyway last night, how close I was, and then at one point I was like, geez, I think you're really close here. I was able to turn the boat back into those really heavy winds and actually row against it pretty handily. So once I was able to do that, I felt, I'm grand here, you know. And now I'm a nice bit out, only I wasn't, because perception again just was it played a bit of a trick on me. So I was coming past Porkins, and the plan was to get to Browne and try and get into the quay. I didn't know, I was going to judge it on what I saw, and then if it wasn't a possibility, just keep heading and get to Black Rock and put down the anchor in Black Rock. I was constantly like re-evaluating the situation. I got to Porkins, and again, head on a swivel, looking at the waves, then look back behind me and see the 2 rocks that I knew existed, or 3 rocks I think there is there. They're a little bit out, they jut out. Myself and Gussie came in contact with them when we did the Kirk Row. And that's how I knew we had to literally do the same thing. Only now I couldn't turn the boat against that wind, so I actually had to flick it round 270 and row back into these huge breaking waves. So I hit the first wave then as I did that. I had only seconds to react here, and the first one, I wasn't perpendicular to it perfectly. A bit of the front of the nose of the boat was shown, and the wave is so powerful, it just hit the nose and pushed me sideways, and then pushed me 180 degrees, the boat like semi-capsized. And then the oar on that side broke underneath the boat, and the boat popped back up, and that was it. 20 seconds later, I knew, like, I'm just going to drift on the rocks here. I don't have any oars, I can't row. If you'd given me half an hour there, I would have been able to, excuse the expression, but bastardize the oar to, you know, to be able to get into Galway. But I'd only 20 seconds, so that was...
Is it in that split second that you decide, I have to get out of this boat?
No, I hit the rocks, but it only, like, it wasn't a thump or anything. It just kind of gently in the wash up onto the rocks, and all that grinding, and it was literally hurting my heart. I was like, the Lord above, and it's just grinding, and every time a wash would come in from the break, it's just grinding and getting further and hitting off, and then there was this big rock that kind of stopped it going any further onto the rocks. And then I was just like kind of getting knocked around, trying to again reevaluate the situation. And I heard the Coast Guard on the radio like hailing me directly, Cushla McCree. I tried to respond to them, I got nothing, because my radio was playing up, saying to Chris, sometimes it's working, sometimes it wasn't.
And was it in that moment that it dawned on you that after 2,686 hours at sea that this is it?
Yeah.
It's over?
I know before that, when the oar was gone and I was just floating towards, I was like, this is it, yeah.
And what did that feel like?
I mean, I have other worries at that point, like what's going to happen in 10 seconds. So I don't like dwell on this. Reflect. Yeah, you know, no, I don't mean to make fun of you. I just mean generally, I don't like, you know, you just like it's survival, right? You're like, okay, what's the next priority? What's going to happen? And then what does that look like? And try and get ahead of the game mentally, you know, like what steps ahead so you can react better. Anyway, yeah, so boat was on the rocks and just getting ground, and I was getting kicked around. And some of the waves were stronger, so they were actually quite violent. So I just gathered up some bits of kind of essential equipment. And I said I need to get off this boat, and the reason I had confidence, like I can't swim, so
sorry, just let's he just rowed the North Atlantic Ocean and he can't swim. Yeah.
But I had confidence kind of getting into the water because I could see rocks, like, and I think I put my hand down at one point, and I'm not sure that I feel like the seaweed or the ground, the seabed, but anyway, I hopped down the big rock that was kind of the one that was actually smashing Justin against the side, and then decided to get off that because like it was still very close to the action, right? Hopped down and just crumpled, like I was like, oh yeah, your legs don't work after you row an ocean.
Oh my god!
And then I'm holding my grab bag in my mouth, you know, like that, and then I tried to walk, and my trainers, the things that me and Gussie had, a pair of each, they had like just disintegrated. Wow. They were hanging on by the last thread, like there was, but so they both came off in the rocks and the water. So now I was barefoot and also trying to find like steps in how deep water you don't know it is, you know. So in
the pitch black.
In the pitch black with the thing in your mouth. So I said, well, the best course is on your knees now. I need to crawl, like, you know, that's all I can do here is crawl. So I crawled, I saw a bigger rock, say, where about Chris is, or maybe a bit further. I'll get to that. Got to that, called Chris. I had to break out the beacon again because I know my phone was dead. And the other thing I was using is just an American, so it wasn't linking up to the Irish thing. So I had to break out the beacon, sitting on the rock looking at porkins, and call
eating a sandwich.
No, the sandwiches were left behind. And I called Chris, called yourself, and then I had put out the EPIRB, which is the emergency beacon, but I wasn't sure if that also, along with the radio, the stress signal I sent, I wasn't sure if either of them were working. So that's why I rang E2, and then I crawled a bit more, and then I saw there's a big hill blocking where I was to the road, and I just saw what you would deem are like flashlights moving, you know, and I was like, well, that has to be for me, like, and I thought you got here quick, I thought it was you, and it was the two boys, Vinny and Mihal, and then they helped me up, and they, you know, looked after me from there brilliantly, so that was,
Wow. We promised you stories, ladies and gentlemen. What a story, what a story. So, going to jump around a little bit if we can, you know.